Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Same.
So, where are you coming out of?
New York.
New York. Yeah, it's where my dad's from. My dad was born in Brooklyn, raised in Long Island.
Oh,
So,
wow.
where are you at in New York? Are you just in
In
Manhattan?
the city. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hey,
Yeah.
thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Of course.
So, before we get into your life and work, what I'd like to do is just kind of cover what we all went through the last 3 years with COVID. How did you survive it? And how has it changed the way that you do things now?
Mm, I think that's what we. So my husband is a real estate broker, and when the pandemic hit, it was very like one of the things you couldn't do is like really go into apartments and show them,
Yeah.
right? But he is also manages a very large community of founders in the prop tech industry. So one of them said, listen, I have this idea of a 3D camera that you can show apartments in 3D. Can you help me promote it? And he said, wait, I can actually merge the two, help you with this idea, but also that's the way I can show apartments. And in like 3 days, he just was all alone outside, and taking photos of apartments and renting them one after the other. This is way before it was actually like a popular thing.
Mhm.
And so in the first day, I was like, okay, leave all your stuff outside. Don't come in. I was like hysterical. And after 3 days, I was like, okay, this is my life now. I need to deal with it. And I think that saved us. When you have someone out of your taking you out of your comfort zone, that's like a general saying, right? When someone takes you safely out of your comfort zone, you can find like a good place. So I think that all of us in the family, and it was funny because I spoke to my kids and one of them actually mentioned it, that we actually had fun in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
um, yeah, because I think that our anxiety level was a little bit lower um, than the average, and it helped us kind of live our life well, and then the recovery wasn't as hard as others went through in the past couple of years to come back. And I changed jobs, I released a book. I feel like life was the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's a long-winded answer to tell you I think we're good.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, and it's interesting because kids have a level of resiliency that's different from us. And I remember I do these kind of quasi interviews with my son, and we were talking about 2020, and he really felt, I mean, he really was like, yeah, it was a good year. Like there was things that happened, but
Oh,
overall there was a level of it where you just as an adult and a parent, you got to pick up and help them because we've been around longer and it's just kind of the nature of the beast. So
yeah.
it's interesting how it all kind of panned out. So let's get to the essence of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day, and one of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
So I tell them that I fix problems. So I can fix problems either for companies. So if they have a problem with their business or what they're selling, then I can come in and fix it. But I can also help people fix their jobs and their careers and what they want to be when they grow up. Even though we are grown up, a lot of the times we, from time to time, doubt ourselves and we don't know what we want to be. And I help those people.
So what did you want to be in the third grade when you grew up?
Oh, I actually wanted to be a journalist.
Okay.
And I actually participated in this competition, and I won first prize, and that got me to meet with the editor in chief of this teen magazine. And she said, you know what? How about you come and work for us? I was 14 and I started writing for a teen magazine. So I early on kind of started my career and had the opportunity, an amazing opportunity to start what I thought that I want to be when I grow up. But I grew up in Israel, and in Israel, we go to the army. And so the army had different plans for me, and that cut that dream of being a journalist and completely kind of I pivoted into a different place. I don't complain whatsoever, but the passion to write and being good at writing is something that I continue to do. And then only, 3 years ago, I said, you know what, I should get back to me liking to write, to actually come out and do something with it.
So let's go back to your childhood and find out what were the seeds that were put into you to be a fixer. So tell me about, where you
Mm.
were born and raised and what these seeds were that became who you are today.
It's interesting because my official title is product manager, and not many know what that is. And I think that, and my parents obviously didn't, but I always, as a child, although, I'm an only child, and, my parents got me whatever toy I wanted, I could have it. Still, most of the toys I actually spent time with were toys that I invented. So I had different board games that I invented. I had different, these activities I was inventing. And so that was what I was doing. And I think that if product management was a thing when I grew up, and if my parents knew what that was, probably my parents would say, oh, she's going to be, she's going to be a product manager when she grows up. And so I think that there is something that I like about recreating something, recreating an environment, recreating an experience, recreating something that we strive and we want to do. And so I practice it. And so practicing it from early age, I think that later, although I did not know it's an actual job. And after the army, I went into more of like a corporate training position. Someone that was in product management in the company came to me and said, hey, I think that you could be a really good product manager. How about you join our team? And so I had someone to sponsor me within the company, which I always say that that's amazing, to build a network so good, and that people in your organization will know you so well that they can say, oh, I identify this talent about you, and here's an opportunity. And so I was lucky to experience that early in my career and know that it's even possible that someone else will mentor me and coach me and support me, and tell me, how good I am at something. And so I continued to look for it throughout my career. And I think that, I'm grateful to him to teaching me that it's possible, but also grateful for the opportunity that I had afterwards, to have people that, grew me to be this fixer, this creator of things that, I started as a little kid, but then, now I do it for companies for financial reasons.
Sure, sure. So who's been kind of a role model for you in your life?
It's a good question. I think that up until today, I always have this kind of mix of role models, and I take things that people do and I say, oh, this part I like from this person, and that part I like from that person. I create this, I call it like a potato head, with the eyes that you like and the mouth that you like, but a potato head of role models. And it's anywhere from my parents to teachers to people I met through work. And as I mentioned, I was exposed to a work environment. I never babysat, by the way. So it's a work environment from early age. So I think that I always had someone that I looked up to. And sometimes it was someone that's more senior to me or an adult. And sometimes it was actually my peers. So as a teen journalist, as the age of 14, I had other teen journalists that were really, really good.
Yeah.
And I was always looking up to them and saying, wow, how did they get this story? Or, I got emotional after reading their magazine article. So I said, okay, I need to do that. And so up until today, I have, a mix of role models of people I know and personally, and people that I don't know. And I try
Right.
to reverse engineer how they got to who they are and what they do, and learn from that. A mentor can be someone you know, but someone that you don't, if
Sure.
you spend the time to unpack how they got there.
Yeah, for sure. So if you could meet, since you wanted to be a journalist, if you can meet a journalist out there, anybody that's alive today, and spend some time and
Mm.
talk to them, who would it be?
So I think I would prefer to meet someone who creates content and not necessarily a journalist,
Sure.
because I think that today um, we consume content in various formats, and it can affect us. And I spend Fridays, by the way, I give myself an hour and I collect throughout the week podcasts, articles, newsletters, things that I don't have time to dig in, and I spend time listening to. And I love Mel Robbins. I think she's amazing and inspiring. And I also not necessarily just love her content, I love her how. I love how approachable she is. I love that she mixes between formats so that I can consume in different ways. Like sometimes I can't listen to a podcast and I can only read something that she wrote. And sometimes I don't have a full 40 minutes of podcast to listen to, and she can give it in a shorter way. So I really like how she does things.
So what is the ultimate motivator for you every day to do the work that you do? What is it that gets you up in the morning
Mm.
and gets you through the day?
Well, I want to be happy. And I think that one of the things that I've learned pretty early on is um, when I'm not. And when something um, was too much, or something derailed me from my path. And when I notice that, then I work to change that. And I have like objective exercises that I do. I either remove myself from my desk. I'm like, nope, you're not digging into this. You need to step away. Or, I go with my kids for a walk, or I take my dog for a walk, or I meet a friend, or I talk to a mentor. Like I do these things. I put myself in these situations um, as if someone else would put me there. Like pull from here, put here. And so the motivation of being happy and constantly checking is extremely strong, but also it's a moving target because when you reach something, then there's something else and something else. But I think that that's why I feel so comfortable in putting myself in a situation of starting from scratch, which is the title of my book, which is, you know, I reach a certain goal, I work towards something, it made me happy, but now I'm kind of used to it and it's not as exciting. How do I restart myself? How do I reinvent the situation to be happier and more content and do more for me and do more, be more happy? And so what I wanted when I shared the book was to really share how I do it, how I unpack, kind of what's next for me, because that is my biggest motivator.
What's been one of your best client success stories? One that always you remember?
Hmm. Um, well, anything from I had so many, so it's hard to like pull a specific one, but there's one that I was contacted, it was actually a couple of years ago, by someone. She was responsible for a very big project that's related to COVID. It was the first time it's not the first time only she did it. It's the first time in our lifetime, right, that someone actually did a project like that, because no one needed to face a pandemic in in the last few years. And so she was doing that, and she was extremely senior, and she had a lot of responsibilities, but then she completely burnt out, and she came out of this experience saying, I don't want to work in health tech ever again, ever. And so my our conversation, we actually met through her husband, who read my book and thought, but he read it for her to be able to support her, which I think is amazing, because our network and people who support us can be anyone. And so when he contacted me, he said, I need you to talk to my wife. And I did. And then we met several times. What I loved is that we could together unpack specific skills that she showed in that experience that she can take into any other job. But she wasn't aware. She's like, this is what I studied. This is what I worked for the past 15 years. This is who I am. This is very much, going and working in health it requires so much from you. And, the training, the work ethic, like all of that is so specific. And then it's so hard to reinvent who you are and think of yourself as something else. But when an experience like that is so strong and you're burnt out, I think that I admired the fact that she knew that that's it for her, that she knew that her happiness will not come from the next job in the same thing, that she completely needs to pivot and reinvent her career. And so we work together to unpack those skills, and to rebuild a network and to rebuild how she introduces herself, and opens doors. And we basically went through all the steps of starting from scratch. And lately, she updated me. She's like, in a totally different position, in a different industry. And she's very happy. And she said, I just want you to know that you're such a big part of my journey. And what I loved about it is that a lot of the times people like me contact me, but this was the first time back then that I was contacted by someone that, other than the fact that she's a woman, there was nothing, mutual. I never worked in tech. I never worked in something so, I always tell my team, like, relax, we're not saving lives. She is, so, and I could help her, and it was inspiring to see her reinvention in front of my eyes.
So of all the things that you've done so far in your life, what are you the proudest of?
My kids.
Yep.
um and they're awesome, really. It's like I actually went, I went to do my hair a couple of days ago, and we were talking about kids. And I said, well, sorry, I can't. Like, everybody was complaining about their kids, and I was like, I can't. So I think you get what you can handle,
Right.
in that regards. And probably I couldn't do much. And so they're awesome from day one, and they're super talented. And I think that what is also, as part of working on the book, I involved them so much. And they knew their mother before the book, their mother as a super successful, career woman. And they always saw me in meetings. They saw, pre-pandemic, they even saw how I dressed up, and I was traveling a lot, and I was doing a specific role. And I always went to offices that are extremely extravagant, and like, so much that my kids, when I was taking them to, there's bring your kid to work day, one of the days I brought my kids, one of them, she said, can I live here? Like, she literally, it was so beautiful that she wanted to stay in the workplace. So this is who they knew their mom is. And the book comes with so many ups and downs. It comes with the writing, and you're so excited, but then it's such a, you have to open up when you write a book. You have to share your story. You have to, come, talk like that, like I'm talking to you, and be open on social media. And it comes with extreme vulnerability, and that takes a toll as well. So and then, when you go and sell books, and I go to do speaking engagements, I carry my books in a suitcase, and they see that the suitcase is heavy. Like, they see the ups and downs, and they see even the physical
Yeah.
effort that it takes. And what I love is that they are old enough, they're teenagers, and they're old enough to remember this.
Yeah.
And what I want them to remember is, their mom is a career woman, and career is important, and they can do anything, and nothing will block them. But it's not always, roses, and you still can really enjoy even the downs. And so I think that I'm grateful that they're at this age to be with me in this journey.
Sure. So everyone has a perception of you. You have all these pockets of people in your life, family, friends,
Mhm.
clients, colleagues, but you're in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Mhm. Um, I'm super competitive with myself, super. Um, it's a hard question. I fight so much and you can come back so much, and then it's a relationship that you can't separate from, like that. I don't know that, right? Like, I had friends, and if it didn't work out, we were not friends anymore, right? This is a relationship I don't understand. And so I am aware that I don't have those tools from the get-go. And so I work on relationship, and I have some of my relationship are for and it's not childhood friends, it's actually people that I worked with. And so I think that being an only child potentially can give you also some tools to manage in the world, like this being maybe self self competitive and but also building relationship, because it's not a given, it's not coming with your life. So I think the bare bones of what you're given when you are born um affects how you can affect for the better how you kind of live in the world.
Sure. Like those seeds in the beginning. So if anyone wants to get your book, hire you, learn more about you, anything related to your world, where do they go?
So my book is in every bookstore and online, obviously Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and all the rest. So there's also small businesses that hold my book, which I love supporting small businesses. Also available on startingfromscratchthebook.com and on all social media. So I'm super approachable, available, and I love when people contact me.
Excellent. This has been great. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for your story. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And
Thank you.
you bet before you go, I want to pronounce your name right.
It's Osnat Benari.
Thank you. I always like to make sure that's done. Thank you so much. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Take care.